Hello and welcome to the Boost Over Ball podcast, your go-to source for all things Rocket League, with your hosts, K-Cube, Quilly, and Red. So lean forward, lock in, and get ready to go Boost Over Ball.
Hello and welcome back to the Boost Over Ball podcast. To listeners new and old, hello and welcome to the show. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Kyle, K-Cube, and I'm joined by Red. Another day in paradise, right?
Yes, sir. Another day, another dollar.
Oh, yeah. Another day, another nickel. On today's episode, we're coming to you pre-recorded with our EWC preview. I got a little bit of a vacation here, so we got a stream on Monday, which you'll hear from us then, but on a different channel. I'll leave it at that for now, but that'll happen, prior to this episode going live, which will be... It'll go live on the 6th, so next week from when we're recording this. But that being said, we're recording this prior to the conclusion of the LCQ, so we don't know for sure who will be taking the last spot. We'll be diving into our predictions, analysis, and thoughts about the event as a whole and how we think teams will perform. Then we will cap off the episode by talking about the biggest questions and storylines heading into the event, and finally by giving our biggest cold, warm, hot, and nuclear takes about any of the teams, players, or the event as a whole. And then we will wrap up for today. Red, are you ready to go?
Let's do it.
Hell yeah. So we will talk about the format first, and then we'll kind of go into some of the LCQ teams. So the format is as follows. There's a group stage from the 12th to the 14th of August. That is 16 teams split up into two groups of 8 that we've seen before. Upper bracket matches are best of 5. Lower bracket matches are best of 7. So that means all elimination matches will be best of 7, which is awesome. The top 4 teams per group, 8 in total, will advance to the playoffs. 2 from the upper bracket and 2 from the lower bracket in each group. And then moving into the playoffs, which are the 15th and the 16th of August, it is a single elimination bracket. Upper bracket teams will be drawn randomly against a lower bracket team. Teams from the same group cannot play against each other. All matches, excluding the third place match, are best of 7, and the third place match is best of 5. So you may be asking yourself, third place match, what do you mean third place match? Well, it matters for prize pool because the third place team gets $100,000 and the fourth place team gets $60,000. So quite a big difference there.
Yeah, that's a couple extra dollars to say the least. So not quite the level of the Oceanic tiebreaker, but still a decent amount.
No kidding. And also, even maybe more importantly for the orgs as a whole, the third place will take home 500 club points and fourth place will take home 300 club points. And again, that matters because first place in the org EWC championship, the first place org will take home $7 million.
Jeez, that's a lot of zeros. That is a lot of zeros.
So $30 million total for the org club championship. First place 7, second place 5 million, third place 4 million, fourth place 3 million, 2 million, 1.4, 1.15 for 7th, and then 950K, 800, 650, 550, 500, 450, 400, 350, 300, so on and so forth, down to 100K for the team in 24th place. Also, for people who are unaware, the Esports World Cup will encompass Apex Legends, Call of Duty, Chess, Counter-Strike, Crossfire, Dota 2, EA Sports FC, Fighters, Fortnite, Free Fire, Honor of Kings, League of Legends, Mobile Legends, Overwatch, PUBG Mobile, regular PUBG, Rainbow Six, Rocket League, Teamfight Tactics, Trackmania, and Valorant. Man, lots of stuff.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, and currently in first place is Natus Vincere with 2250, then Virtus Pro, Vitality, Team Vision, AGAL International, Team Falcons in 6th, 100 Thieves, D+, Hyperspirit, Unlimited, Leon, Paravision, Aura Gaming, BetBoom, Carmine Core in 14th, and NRG in 14th. So a lot left to play for these teams. There's a lot of events that are currently ongoing and will continue to happen until the Rocket League event starts just about 2 weeks here. But I figured we'd give a quick rundown of what's going on here. But notably, there are only 15 teams that have qualified or been invited to the Rocket League Esports World Cup, and there is one spot at large for an LCQ team. That is registration for that closes on August 2nd. It is an in-person LCQ event in Paris. You have to buy your own way to the event. You have to show up. You have to bring your own gear, and the winner qualifies for the main event straight up. So certainly a lot to play for. However, there's also a prize pool for the LCQ, which is a little bit ridiculous. But first place qualifies into the Esports World Cup. Second place, $10,000. Third place, $9,000. Fourth place, $8,000 US dollars. Fifth to sixth is $7,000. Seventh to eighth is $6,500. Ninth to 12th is $6,000. And 13th to 16th is $5,500. So the more we talk about EWC, the more you realize why it's such a big deal to the players, the teams, and the orgs, because the money amounts are insane.
Yeah, I mean, this event alone will make or break like a couple orgs, esports teams in general. I mean, like this could determine if you're going to be investing in a new esport or if you're going to be pulling out. So this is very much like the event for the year.
100%. So speaking of LCQ, now we've done our like wide, broad focus here. We will zoom in now on Rocket League specifically and continue talking about that. There are some notable teams from the list of people that have signed up so far. There are currently 88 teams that have signed up and have completed their registration, with more that have not completed yet. So they still got, a few days to finish that up. But do you want to run us through some of the notable teams that people may have heard of before?
Yep. We'll do this quick. We'll only kind of elaborate on some teams that you may not know the team name, but we'll know the player names. But to kind of start with our list here, this is all pulled from the start.gg page for the LCQ. We have at the top of our list Dignitas, then No Car Esport. You're not going to know that name, but you will know the players in Mozzarella, Matt, and Eugen. Then we have Team BSK, Triple Pop, Next to New Esports, Gen G, DOS, Team Stallion, BS Plus Competition, Man City, otherwise known as Manchester City, Foot, the Lanimals, recently made team of Joyo, Raziers, and Rise. Team Ireland, the Irish team from the Nations Cup. The only notable player that you're really going to know is Shark from the most recent EU LCQ, who performed incredibly well. He will be competing under Team Ireland. Then you have Valer, also from the LCQ, and GHT, the all-Italian roster. PCS Stride. Now, we've heard this org name before, but rocking a different roster this time around. We have Atomic, Dorito, and AJG with the coach of Harmonic. Mind you, Atomic, Dorito, AJG just qualified for the World Championship through the EU LCQ, beating Valer. So congrats on being picked up to an org after that accomplishment in the LCQ. And then finally, to round it up here, we have Virtus Pro, Team Novo, and Chippy Chips.
Man, what a time to be alive.
What a time indeed.
So, and we'll talk about it more as we move towards like some of our storylines and some of our thoughts, but it's been a little while for a lot of these teams since their last foray in our LCS. So I'm very intrigued to see how this plays out, especially for some of the teams that were in the LCQ, teams that made it far, like, our PCS Stride, which was Mate Etapa, Valer, and others, right? Because they've played really recently. For some of these teams, we have not seen them since the Paris Major concluded at the end of May. So, we have a lot of... There's been a lot of time since then. There's been a lot of LCQs. There's been a lot of Rocket League since then, but not for all the teams. So moving straight ahead, let's talk about our groups, and that starting out with Group A, and that is Twisted Minds, the LCQ team, Shopify Rebellion, NIP, Ninjas in Pajamas, Team Vitality, Furia, NRG, and TSM. And we now know the first matchups, and that's going to be Twisted Minds and our LCQ number 1. Shopify versus NIP, Vitality versus Furia, and NRG versus TSM. So of these first round matchups, which ones jump out at you as ones that you're looking out for that you think are going to be the most interesting?
I think most interesting easily here is I'm going to be looking at the likes of a MIBR versus SSG, a RA
Just for
versus
Group A.
Falcons.
Just for Group A.
Oh, sorry, for Group A. So my bad. Wasn't listening, apparently. My bad. But no, for Group A, I think the only real like interesting ones there, in my opinion, we can say the LCQ matchup purely just because we don't know what team's going to fit that slot against a Twisted Minds roster. However, Shopify versus Nip, a bit of a rematch from the, I believe it was the Boston group stage. I think they were in the same group together. And I believe NIP came out on top that time. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes there. And then, of course, Vitality versus Furia, the match that always seems to be destined once international play happens. These two teams have had some, call it bad blood in the past, although different players from different rosters, but I would be curious to see if it's still as heated as ever between these two teams.
Yeah, I would agree. I think you kind of picked out exactly the ones that I was thinking as well. I think that Shopify NIP series is going to be good, and I think that Vitality Furia series, just because of the history, is going to be good as well. But like realistically, I think NRG is gonna move through TSM pretty quick, and I'm thinking the way that we saw Twisted Minds look at in Paris. I would like to think that they'll move pretty quick through that LCQ number 1 seed, but it really will just depend, right? Like I could see a team like the Lanimals, like Joyo Rise Raziers, giving them a really tough time. Rignitas definitely not going to give them a tough time because they're not making it. But maybe a Foot or a Man City. Those are teams that we've seen perform pretty well. Foot, coming off really good form at the NA-LCQ. So I'll be interested to see if some of those teams that have just played in their LCQs will kind of give these other teams a tough time just because of how, they've had a more impactful match like more recently.
Yeah, I think I read a little bit of recency bias as well, because I think with these teams having these matches a lot earlier than others, like that's the only thing we can really go off of. But for these teams that we haven't really seen, that's a long time to prep for a lot of series, especially for these matches, which you've kind of had an idea of who you're playing as you've been sitting there waiting. So, plenty of time to sit there, go back through, look through VOD reviews from previous matchups, see what kind of play styles that they may be working, and vice versa. So I think, unfortunately for us, Kyle, it's going to be a hard time to predict a lot of these matches.
It certainly will. Like NRG, for instance, we have not seen them play since May 22nd of this year. So by the time the tournament kicks off here, will have almost been 3 months since they've played a meaningful, like, S-tier competitive Rocket League match. Right? Maybe that's for the better for them. Maybe they just needed a little bit of a break. Maybe it's bad for them. Maybe they did not need the break. Right? Like, we'll continue to talk about it once we get through Group B as well. But like, which energy is going to show up? Which are they motivated? Are they playing the game? Does Seth, you have the boys humming? Like that. Those are always questions that need to be answered for NRG. But then, like, for the rest of these teams, we haven't seen them since the end of May either. Right? Like, I mean, Twisted Minds, I think, had some Saudi E-League stuff that they did, but like, realistically speaking, most of these teams that are making the group stages have not had a competitive or meaningful RLCS match in almost 3 months. Whereas, whatever LCQ team is coming through has had, basically 2 tournaments that are meaningful games. So I will be very intrigued to see how the teams stack up, and if that causes there to be any rust, or if these players are rested and relaxed after the break that they've had. But I know it's really hard to predict the matches, but if you're predicting our group stage for Group A, which 2 teams do you have coming out of the upper bracket here?
Ooh, out of the upper bracket, that is tough. I think, especially with this being in Paris, I'm going to be predicting Vitality, and we're gonna say Shopify for my 2 upper bracket teams.
Okay. Interesting. Okay. I had Vitality NIP.
I think that was like where I'm kind of like going back and forth in my head, but I think Shopify. I think First Killer is going to kind of play into his villain arc, and I mean, Shopify was the only NA team to play decent, at least on Parisian soil last time. So what's to stop him from this time?
Yeah, very true. And that's just through the upper bracket. Through the lower bracket, I have NRG making it, and then it's gonna come down to Shopify and Twisted, in my opinion, right? So it's like there's some good teams in both of these groups. We're gonna miss out on some teams that probably shouldn't be making out on playoffs, but I want them to make it, but I just don't think that they're up to the task here, and I have Twisted Minds and NRG qualifying through lower, so I have Shopify missing out, which seems weird to me, but I like Twisted Minds form. I just think that when it doesn't really matter for RLCS, NIP can be an amazing team, but realistically it's probably NRG, Vitality, Shop, and Twisted. I think NIP are probably the one sitting out, but just to be different, I will leave Shopify out.
Right, we don't have Quilly here, so we can't have the uber hot takes that he likes to bring to the show.
Oh yeah. So who are your two upper bracket teams are Vitality and Shopify. So then who do you have coming through lowers? And this is all pending us not doing bracket math, right? So it's we could say an NRG Twisted Minds, but they could end up playing each other in the lower semis. You know what I mean? So if you're picking basically really just the four best teams, you got Vitality, you got Shopify, and who else do you have?
Well, I mean, we gotta go NRG, we gotta go NIP. If I'm gonna pick Shopify in the upper, I mean, I'll say NRG. NIP or Twisted. Oh gosh, I'm gonna say NIP because I think the Paris buff will prove beneficial for this NIP roster.
So
and Monkey Moon's saving his powers for an event in south of the USA.
Yeah. Although, are we discounting the Monkey Moon arc?
I mean, surely he's somewhat human, right?
So I mean, what did he do? What did he do? I forget off the top of my head. Did he win 2024? Yeah, he did with BDS.
Mm-hmm.
That's Monkey Moon Drale Exotic, yeah. And then esports. There wasn't an esports World Cup for 2022, right? Or was that Gamers 8?
Might have been Gamers 8.
Yeah, Gamers 8 2022 was...
I think that's when they went on to win Gamers 8, and that's when Monkey Moon got an incredible amount of momentum.
Yeah. The finals, where's the final group stage, group C? Do they just not have the... What? Time allocated for running scripts has expired. That's a new error that I've never gotten before.
Huh.
But Guild Esports, Complexity, Furia, FaZe Clan, Space Station, and HEET qualified through group stages of the three of the four. I can't see the other ones, but I do believe... I do believe that it was Furia. No, that was when Furia won.
That's right.
Because they had the crew battles in the finals, and Yan iced it with the 1v1.
That does sound correct.
But I do believe BDS made it, or Monkey Moon made it pretty far in that one. So a win at EWC and then a win at Worlds is kind of the way that it's been for Monkey Moon recently. So are we discounting Twisted Minds a little too easily here? Especially after a narrow defeat at the Paris Major.
I mean, prove me wrong. I'm gonna predict heavily for Monkey Moon come Worlds, but this isn't Worlds, so gotta prove me wrong.
Fair. Okay, and then moving over into Group B, and that is Carmine Corps, Wildcard, MIBR, Space Station Gaming, R8, Falcons, Gentlemates, and Five Fears. So in our Group B round one matchups are Carmine Corps, Wildcard, MIBR, Space Station, R8, Falcons, and then Gentlemates, Five Fears. Again, you kind of touched on it a little bit before we started Group A, but in this group, why are you looking at that MIBR Space Station and that R8 Falcons matchups as your favorites for the round one for Group B?
Yeah, I mean, R8 Falcons, just because it is a mean of rematch. This is a Falcons roster looking to get revenge against R8, who has caused them quite the trouble this season, which is quite unexpected going into it. And I think R8 will have some good form coming out of a pretty dominant win through the Mina LCQ. However, I think this is also a big question of is Falcons back to normal? Are they back to being in form? Are they back to being one of the top teams in the world? This will be, I think, a big determining factor there. And of course, it might be in S versus SSG. I think is going to be a very chaotic matchup. Just the two play styles that are going to bat there, very fast paced, very mechanical. It's going to be very scrappy as well with the demos. I think should be a just exciting entertainment value for the matchup there.
I would agree. It's also R8 Falcons is also the only friendly fire match we have for the entire first round of EWC. Also, and again, I keep harping on it because it's kind of a big deal, but Falcons haven't played an RLCS match since April 18th when they were eliminated from major contention in Open 6.
Good Lord, that's a very long time.
4 months since we've seen Falcons and what they've been doing. So you'd hope they've been in the lab. You hope that they've been working on things and, trying to stay positive and constructive, but we'll have to wait and see. But, that certainly should be a good matchup. It's, EWC is still Saudi hosted, even if it is in Paris this year, just because of some of the conflicts in the Middle East, which we're not going into, but that second matchup that you mentioned, that Space Station MIBR, again, that's the SAM number 1 seed going up against the NA number 3 seed. So, a lot to look forward to. That's usually been a good series in the past. I think that series will go a long way into showing us which space station has shown up to Paris, which one will we see, and how they'll perform. But for the other two matchups, I think Carmine Corps kind of walks through Wildcard, and I think Mates should walk through Five Fears.
Agreed.
So if we're doing the same thing as we did for Group B, if we're picking teams to come out of the upper bracket here, who are you picking for Group B?
I mean, Group B, I think one of the easiest picks here is going to be Carmine Corps. And then for the next group, I think I'm going to have to stick with Gentlemates here for the team that makes it through uppers.
Yeah, I wanted to be different and say something else, but I have no belief. Like I can't even of a reality where that doesn't happen.
Yeah, I like the Falcon. Like I would lean towards Falcons, but they've just looked so inconsistent. Like I can't put my faith in them quite yet. So we shall have to wait and see.
But I like you have Carmine Corps and Gentlemates coming out of the upper bracket, and for the lower bracket, and again, not doing any bracket math, I'm going to take Falcons and Space Station. I think Space Station is certainly been on the way up. I think that their trajectory is pretty good. However, I do think that they are the third or potentially fourth best team in this group, and I think that's why they'll make it through the lowers. And then Falcons, because we've seen them be amazing. We've seen them do some crazy things, but not recently, so that's why I don't give them the upper bracket nod, but I think that they can make it through lowers. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm going to be looking at Falcons and then SSG here for my two teams in the lowers. Did a little bit of quick maths, if you will, on the bracket, and SSG do avoid what I was thinking would be very much a lose matchup for them. So the reason I'm going to SSG there. And then, of course, since I don't have Falcons making it in the uppers, they will have to make it through lowers. I may be doubting them, but I'm not going to doubt them that heavily.
Yeah, no kidding. I'm with you there. But so thinking about the teams that we've predicted to make it into the playoffs, which team are you looking at as like, you know what, this is who I'm riding with. This is who I think is going to win this event.
I mean, I feel like it would be not very smart of me to say anyone but Carmine Corps. Carmine Corps, I mean, you're coming off of a major victory win. They are back in Paris again, where you just won that major. You have all the momentum and all of the ability, I think, to go back to back here and continue your momentum going into Worlds. So I got Carmine Corps on top.
Okay, I think that's a good as good a guess as any. For me, it's got to be Gentlemates. I think that they just looked so good. I think that they had a tough matchup. In the Paris Major at the towards the end of the tournament. There, falling to they lost to Carmine 4-1, and then they lost to Twisted Minds roster that just looked like they had some plot armor. So I mean, Carmine Corps had to eventually win their event, and they did so. I'll be interested to see if there's any kind of like winner's hangover. I kind of highly doubt it, since it's Fatira and they haven't won a world championship yet. But we will have to wait and see about that one. But for me, it's Gentlemates. I think that they're just too good to deny. And I can't say it's going to be Twisted Minds, because I think that Monkey Moon's going to get his victory later this year, back in his second home state.
Yep, and indeed his second home state.
But moving forward past our predictions and kind of into some storylines and some questions that we have kind of to give out to the ether, for me, and especially like using like a world championship lens for this one, and that's, what NRG do we see? Right? Is it our 12th to 16th NRG, our top 8 NRG, or somewhere, is it a world championship NRG? So how important is it for, like, in your opinion, do you think it is for NRG to have a good showing here to kind of knock off some of the rust and show everyone that they're still one of the best teams in the world?
Oh, I think incredibly important. This is, I would say, this has to be your bounce back. I know the coach in me is going to say this isn't going to matter that much, right? It's not the world championship, but this is still a very much a bounce back tourney for an energy roster who performed horridly at the Paris Major. Quite frankly, a lot of NA fans were very disappointed in what was supposed to be NA's hope, and losing to Furia, which, to be fair, Furia have had Energy's number for quite some time. I don't know why. I don't know what it is with that Furia roster, but they know how to beat Energy, and they showed why. But with that being said, this is very much a you need this to build back confidence and to get NA's momentum back. Because right now, the only teams that are even, like, I think, predicted or have a good chance of winning Worlds, in my opinion, are European or MENA teams. The NA is kind of in the dump, if you will.
Fair. I mean, it's gonna be extremely interesting, because we haven't seen NRG in a while. They, obviously they secured their spot long ago. They had a poor performance in Paris, like you said. Are they back? If they have another poor performance, are they going to split as a team? They've been together for so long. Maybe the complacency is there. It's starting to kind of build up for them, but certainly one of the biggest storylines to watch for. The second one for me is going to be Vitality. Right? It looked like they turned a corner. It looked like that they were starting to really compete in Europe. They're able to sweep Ninjas in Pajamas. They take down Space Station and then sweep Manchester City. They took Carmine to 7 before finally losing out to the team that actually had the plot armor in Paris, and that was Carmine Corps. But a fantastic run for them. They certainly, they made the grand finals in Boston. It looks like that they're really on the up and up, but can they keep that up? Was that kind of a flash in the pan, or do you think that this Zen Exotics Dizzy team is a major contender for EWC and for Worlds?
I think they're absolutely a contender, but they won't be the favorite. This is a team where I still think they have relied too much on Zen having to play like the best player in the world, which, isn't, of all the players to ask to play like the best player in the world, Zen is one of them that you can easily ask that of. However, you cannot rely on that ability, because it is not something that is guaranteed. At the end of the day, Zen is indeed human. And I think that's where this roster kind of falters, is the supporting cast for this Vitality roster. Albeit is good, I don't think it's good enough to necessarily get them across the finish line.
Fair enough. I think that's a great take. I mean, it's a question every time a LAN, comes and goes, and that is, can FK finally win a LAN this certainly qualifies as a LAN. This is a pretty big one. The prize pool is massive. It's a very big deal for the players, the teams, and the orgs. But do you think this is where First Killer finally gets... I don't even know if I can call it a monkey off his back anymore at this point. I feel like it has to be the elephant. Do you think First Killer can get the elephant off his back and win his first LAN here? Do you think it is not meant to be?
I don't think it's meant to be. I don't think this roster, I think, can really get across that finish line that First Killer is needing, barring a absolutely monumental performance by First Killer himself. I just don't see it. I don't see it in the cards currently for the Shopify roster.
I would tend to agree. I just like the FJ duo has not been it for me. I was pretty pessimistic on this roster, kind of giving First Killer a little bit of a hard time for sticking with LJ after, a lackluster season last year. And just kind of said, why is it FK, LJ, and the best third that they can find to try and compete with NRG when they just haven't been able to do it. But, maybe First Killer performs extremely well with Atomic Daniel at the Esports Nations Cup. Maybe Quilly has been right this whole time and Beast Mode retires. Maybe, the NRG roster breaks up and First Killer can finally get his shot with maybe one of the best rosters in NA. But until that point, I can't predict him to win the LAN. I've seen time and time again, the fourth killer just shows up when it matters most, and until he can prove otherwise, I can't see him doing that. But Twisted is the only team in Group A from MENA. Neither of us thought that they could sweep their way through the upper bracket and into the upper bracket qualification spot. But, we've talked about the recency bias. We've seen some of these other teams, the LCQ teams or, like Wildcard in our tiebreaker match and things like that. Do we have a little bit of recency bias based on what we've seen? Or do you think that Twisted Minds just kind of got a little bit lucky in Paris?
It's really a tough one. I could see a little bit of both. Realistically, I think Twisted Minds have started to look better, but I still feel like there's just that sinking feeling with this roster that it's just something feels wrong. Don't know what, but something feels wrong. At the same time, though, you also have the impending doom that is Monkey Moon returning to Dickies. The power up is coming. The world's buff. The Dickies Arena's buff. It's beginning. As they've said in one of the most popular TV shows out there, Winters is coming. In fact, this is Monkey Moon is coming, and he's coming to Dickies to claim a third world championship. I can't. It's hard to really bet against him with the power up ensuing. So I'm gonna say, similar to last episode, I think we're gonna hold on Twisted Minds here, and just kind of we'll see if they can prove that they are back and ready to compete.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost been written in pen in the prophecy. Like Dickies and Monkey Moon kind of go together like peanut butter and jelly there. Unfortunately for all the NA fans, but you obviously don't think so because you predicted KC to win the event, but do you think that there's going to be any bit of RLCS Major Champion hangover, or do you think that they're just going to be back at it business as usual? Does Extra have the boys firing on all cylinders, or will they be maybe a little bit slow to start?
I think I could see a slow start. Karmine Corps, they're going to kind of get lulled into this tourney with a matchup against Wildcard, because Wildcard, although historically hasn't done too bad against this Karmine Corps roster, they just have a really rough time of finishing the job, as we've seen in the past. So I think this is a fantastic. Karmine Corps could not ask for a better wake up call to a tourney with Wildcard, because I think they're a team very much that they will catch you unawares. And if you can handle Wildcard, that gets you that momentum you need to continue on, which I think we will see happen. I think it will be a slow start, but Karmine Corps, I think, will be right back in action as they will be hungry for more.
Fair enough. And then the last question kind of that I have, there's two more, I'm sorry. Can any of these teams take momentum gained here at EWC and take them into Worlds, or are we too far away? in the past, this event has kind of butted up right up against the World Championship. Like we've been like a week or even sometimes 2 or less weeks away. But this time there's about a month in between. So do you think that the teams that play well and are in good form can carry that into the World Championships, or again, are we too far removed?
I think I've kind of talked about it earlier. This is going to be very much huge momentum going into Worlds. We're now only roughly a month and a half away from the World Championship happening, and that may sound like a lot of time, but that is after EWC is done. That will be pretty much it'll be prep time. It'll be time to start really grinding out scrims, VODs, and getting into it. And getting momentum from winning at this event will be huge to build that team's confidence and go into Worlds with very much, I think, the fuel needed to be a contender.
Fair enough. And then the last question that I have to kind of pose to you and to the listeners is, does the event being in Paris change your thoughts about who wins, right? Like, so you picked Karmine Corp. Would it have been different if it was in Riyadh like it normally would be? Or do you think that kind of the home field advantage really gives some of our French teams here a buff?
I think there would have been more consideration on my part for, say, the MENA teams if we were in Riyadh. But because we aren't, then yes, I do think location does matter. That home crowd buff is incredibly huge for these teams. I mean, you see it in modern day sports. Like this is very the home crowd buff is very much a thing, even at the esport level. And because we're now in Paris, that buff has gone away from the MENA teams and right on over to the EU teams, which, quite frankly, I don't think they need it.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. So historically, NRG has liked winning in France. They did not do it in Paris, but they have liked to win there before. So we will have to wait and see, just like everyone else, for that. But those are kind of the biggest, at least in my opinion, the biggest storylines that we have here. So now I think it's time to move into our next segment, and that would be our hot takes. We'll give a cold, a warm, a hot, and a nuclear take, and then we can kind of revisit these at our post EWC episode to see how hot or not hot they were. So I can start us out here, and I'll do my cold take first. We can kind of alternate here. So we'll both do our cold takes, and then warm, and then hot, and then so on. So my cold take here is that NRG makes it out of groups.
I mean, okay. I see. We're talking like freezer burn cold at this point.
I mean, they did not perform well at the Boston Major. I think people will, with some of the recency bias, I think some people will power rank them a little bit lower than they should. It's still NRG. They're still World Championship caliber team, but that's why it is a very cold take, because I think that is probably the floor for them, is making it out of groups. So I think people haven't seen them play in a while. The last thing they remember is them playing really badly. So maybe that's gives me a few points, right? Maybe we're not at in the negative temperature, but we're like below freezing.
Fair. For my cold take, I mean, I feel like this is here. We'll go along the same level. Karmine Corp will make it out of groups. I know, shocker, real shocker.
Yeah, I mean, hey, I think that's fair enough. And you're gonna have to check me on this one. The LCQ team wins a series. Is that warm, or is that not warm enough?
Let's see here. LCQ, you face Twisted Minds, and then if you lose that matchup, you would play the loser of Shopify versus NIP. I'd say it's warm. Maybe depending on the team, then. It might even be hot.
Yeah, that might be hot then. Maybe I gotta think of another one.
So that'd be a great. Honestly, I think that would be a great hot take. But warm might be a little too spicy.
Okay, so the lower bracket. What about TSM wins 4 games?
TSM wins 4 games.
Total. Like
total games,
not series, but total games.
These are best of 5s, right?
The upper bracket is best of 3, and the lower bracket is best of 7.
Okay. Ooh, Yeah,
Or is that again? Is that too warm?
That might be hot again.
Okay, I'm
Just
going
for
3.
Clarification: they're facing TSM.
win 3.
TSM would be facing NRG, and then they would face the loser of Vitality versus Furia.
I think they could take 2 games against Furia.
You sure?
Yep.
Okay.
That's my warm take. TSM win 3 games.
All right. You can stick with that. My warm take. This is. Let's see here. My warm take. I mean, I feel like my warm take could be Rebellion make it through groups and uppers. I feel like that's a warm take.
I think you're right. I think that is a better one than I had. I was trying to go off the board, and that you said mates qualify through uppers.
No, sorry, not mates. Rebellion.
Oh yeah. Sorry,
mates. I have making it through uppers already. Like that.
Yeah,
I don't think that's that. I don't think that's that warm of a take.
I was looking at Rebellion and I said mates, and I don't know why. So okay. So then, just to switch it up a little bit, do you have a hot take that you want to do?
Ooh, hot take. Let's see here. Let me think. A hot take. Oh gosh. I feel okay. This I feel like it's a hot take. This could be a hot take. Energy will. I don't know where this. Energy will place 3rd in this event.
I accept that. Yeah, I think that's a good one.
Because, there's going to be some doubt from the previous performance. There's, going to be a lot of question marks. And I don't think they're going to win the event. I think, if I said they were going to win it, that would be hot, if not leaning into nuclear. But I think them taking 3rd place is going to be a very good. I think that's a good take.
Yeah, I would agree.
For it's just hot enough. Whether or not you say that's hot because you think they're going to win the whole thing, or you think they're going to go out top 8.
I'm trying to think of ones that's like not like a team placing. I'm trying to think of ones that would be like more
player.
Player specific, or like off the board a little bit. Juicy wins MVP.
Juicy wins MVP. Oh my. That's nuclear. That's absolutely a nuclear take.
Okay, then I will keep that as my nuclear take.
Like, I'm not saying Juicy is a bad player, but MVP Juicy? Ooh.
So looking back at some of the EWCs, 2024, Joria's won MVP, playing with Chiefs out of OCE.
I do remember that. To be fair, that was a monumental performance by Joria's playing with that Chiefs roster.
Oh, 100%.
In fact, to the point where people were questioning whether or not Jorius was going to go to Oceania and play in Oceania. That's how well he performed.
Yes, no, I agree wholeheartedly. Space Station Gaming make top for my hot take. Space Station make top 4.
Top 4, okay.
Little bit of bracket luck for them to avoid, because like realistically, if you're doing that, it's in my eyes like Carmine, Gentlemates, Vitality are all up there. NRG, but like, I mean, I really do think the Space Station roster can do. Yeah, I'm sticking with that for my hot take, because I feel like it's just hot enough where it could be. I'm gonna say they do not place 3rd, but they will be top 4.
Okay.
So then I guess actually let's make it SSG finish 4th, because they do have that 3rd place match. Okay. I think that roster has the pop-off potential to certainly do that. I think that, Diaz, fresh off of back-to-back 1v1 qualifications, and Zach and Reveal both kind of doing well in the 1v1 as well. I think that will give them the confidence that they need to perform well here.
Okay.
I thought of a really funny nuclear one.
Oh?
Rignitas
do you want to elaborate? From the LCQ. Oh my.
I feel like there's
Lord.
there could be a fun hot take about the LCQ team qualifying.
Fair. I could get behind that. Oh gosh, this nuclear take. This is gonna be. How do I make a nuclear take here? Ooh, I feel like this could be a nuclear take. We're gonna say this. Although this won't be I don't think this is in my predictions, but we'll say I got Furia making it out of the group stage, and we'll say we'll go. How far do I have? How far would be nuclear here? We say Furia top 8. Would that be considered nuclear?
I think it would. I don't think anybody would predict them to make it out of this group.
Okay, well, we'll do that then.
If you want to make it even Furia's competitive in their top 8 match, but lose.
Ooh, yeah. Make top 8 and are competitive. I'm down for that. I am down for that.
And competitive meaning like they lose game 6, game 7. Like that that kind of situation. I like it. I think that's a good one.
Sounds good to me.
That is those are some takes. My juicy one probably will not age well at all. So we will
oh boy.
Yeah, no. We'll have to wait and see on that one. But is there anything else that you wanted to mention about EWC, about the LCQ, or about anything that we've talked about so far today?
I don't think so.
Awesome.
I think we've yapped enough.
I think so too. So with that will be a wrap for today. Huge shout out to Alyssa B and all of our other Patreon supporters for keeping the lights on. For those watching live on Twitch or listening later, don't forget to rate, review, subscribe, tell a friend, share the show, help us level up. Want to join our community? Jump into our Discord or follow us on socials on Twitter, Instagram, Blue Sky, or TikTok. If you want to rep the show, grab some gear, including our esports jersey, stickers, and more. Check out our merch store and all of our other social links on boostoverball.com, which will be getting a facelift in the next couple of weeks. Can't wait to share that with all of you guys. But from us, thank you all so much for listening. And as always, remember to choose Boost over Ball. See ya.
Thank you for listening to the Boost Over Ball podcast. Make sure to check out our website, boostoverball.com.